welcome to this episode of Let's Chat MetaPWR. And tonight we have a special guest who's actually also a close friend, David Pocock. David, you and I, we've known each other for a couple of years now, and you're very much in the sports industry. So I want to talk about how you led into this. Some of us might know that you've had quite a health transformation, but do you want to start there, just sharing how were things for you back in the past?
Yeah, I was probably just the average Aussie doing a lot of labouring, and it was just a done thing to have a few beers after the end of knockoff and just not shy of eating a few Big Macs and chips and a regular Western sort of diet. Then I got to that sort of middle age and continuing with the same habits, and all of a sudden weight gain around the tummy, the dad bod, you could probably say, and I ballooned out. I think at my heaviest I was about 130 kilos at 178 centimeters tall. That BMI is pretty crazy, and health started to go downhill. Blood pressure was starting to be pretty consistent at a high end. The silent killer, they say.
And were you aware of it? Did you feel unhealthy, or like you said, was it just part of the normal work lifestyle that, you'd have these beers and what
Well,
was that?
yeah, I wasn't really. I was just thought it was the done thing until I started in the sports trainer world, so to speak, and through a few of the training and how elite athletes need to, get their bodies ready for game days and things like that. I was always having a couple of V drinks early in the morning to get going. I think that's common for a lot of tradies as well these days. Finish off the day to relax and wind down with a few beers. It's a pretty commonplace this day and age, but it's not really good for the longevity of the body and health of the body. So through my sports training and junior career, I just started soaking up information and trying to find a better way of getting the body up and running. And then I started trying to change everything about what I was doing. I wanted to be better. I wanted to practice what I preach. The athletes that I look after and the teams that I look after, I wanted to practice that so I know how to explain to them the best way to get your body ready for a big day, a big game, and how to go about training and recovery.
So that was a big turning point for you, and quite a stereotypical, like you say, Aussie male to cut through that culture. Can I show some photos of how you looked back in those days?
Sure can. I would have been about 130 kilos then, very, very slow, sluggish. I wasn't doing much physical activity at all. And I would have just started around the change of career into a sports trainer. It would have been around that time I started soaking up a little bit of information, still drinking a fair bit, still on the V's.
Still
There
on
we
the
go.
V. So what was it that made you go into the sports training then? Because it had quite an impact on you, didn't it?
Well, I originally started to just to help out my kids when they were playing their footy, just so that they can take the field and things like that. And then a few other higher teams wanted my services. So I just decided to learn a lot more and get better at my trade, so to speak. So that's why I started being physically fit. So then I'm able to do the running on and off the field, because I found that when I was at the 130, I go for a short run, say 30 or 40 meters, I was buggered. I was pulling up sore the next day. A lot of things weren't right with my body. Decided to make a big change.
So speaking of running, there's also another great photo that we've got here of you at a park run. Was this recent?
Yeah, that was Graham Andrews, which is in Charleville. And as everyone probably knows, a park run is 5Ks. But the thing about this one is I was camping at the showgrounds at the time. So I woke up early in the morning. I ran to the park run, which is about 3.5 kilometers. Then I ran the park run, and then I ran back to the campground. So another 3.5 Ks back to where we were camping.
The joy on your face there, you can sense it. It's great.
So yeah, it's been amazing how far I've come in a short amount of time, really.
So tell us then, what sparked your interest with MetaPWR? What was it about it that you thought, oh, this could be of value to you?
Well, it started when I first bought the sports pack with the ice blue rub, which is the best ever, and just researching because doterra's got great information and they're so transparent with what they put in and how they get things. So just researching that. I was also at the time trying all sorts of other different supplements that were around. So there's the average ones around. And then when I was researching the ice blue on the website, I stumbled across the LLV and started with the LLV about the shortly before MetaPWR came out at the convention. And then just soaking up the information from people like Peter Attier and Dr. Rhonda Patrick about the right way to supplement. Then doTERRA came out with the MetaPWR, and it has everything in it in complete form to the right dosage, where I was buying 2 or 3 supplements and then weighing things up to get it right. doTERRA brought that MetaPWR out, and it was just perfect. There's no guessing, no weighing, no measuring. It's perfect, the right size. You strip the top off, put it in the glass, drink it down, and it's just right. It tastes pretty good too.
And I like how you take the scientific research and data and all that evidence-based factual information, and then you put it into everyday language. In fact, you often relate it to, our body is like a car, and making the car work better and fuel it. And as we age.
Well, yeah, it's like a car. If you just drive your car every day and you just put the normal fuel in there and you don't really look under the bonnet and check the oil or redo any of the fluids, yes, the car's going to continue going and the engine's probably going to get you where you need to go. But if you change the oil all the time and keep everything nice and clean and crisp, you're going to get better fuel economy. The car's going to run better. It's going to be a lot better, and that's what MetaPWR is like. It's like giving your body a fresh new bit of oil, fluids are nice and clean, and everything runs smoother. So there's the less wear and tear on the motor. So you're going to get more kilometers out of the car in the long run, and you're going to be more efficient. So you're not going to be getting slugged along. It's gonna get there nice and easy. Where if you have the Big Macs and the beers, you might get the same kilometers in the long run, but it's going to be a hard slog, and you're going to be dragging that body along, trying to get there.
Yeah. And you've had the comparative of the two. So I'll just read some comments here. So Serena's saying, thanks, David, for sharing very valuable information to be able to share with our community. David's actually got a wealth of knowledge, and it'll be great. We'll keep prying and asking questions in a moment. Kayleen also said valuable information for the modern lifestyle advocates. Thank you for your vulnerability in sharing, David. And I know it wasn't easy for you to come on tonight and share the story. You mentioned you don't like looking back in the past. Like, do you have a tendency to want to look forward? And
looking back, it sometimes it's hard because it digs up feelings and emotions that you don't really want to deal with. You have to deal with them, but I also like moving forward. That's the reason I changed my lifestyle and the way I do. Like I've got a morning routine that I like to stick to. So I basically go to war with myself in the mornings. So I win the morning, and then it doesn't matter what happens to the rest of the day, that I've set myself up for success, because no one's going to beat me down as much as I've already beat myself down in that early morning period physically. And that's when I like taking the MetaPWR. The body's after some nutrients, because I normally do a 6 to a 10K run of a morning, an ice bath, and then I have my power. The body's screaming out for some fluids, and if you mix it with the collagen and MetaPWR, the body absorbs it so much faster.
It does sound like war, going for quite a long run in an ice bath. That's amazing. Do you always feel motivated to do it?
No. And that's where the growth happens. That's where the mind, you got to be your best. When you least want to do it, you get up and go through the motions. You mightn't run the best time. It might be really slow. You mightn't get through it, but you go through the motions, and then that sets the mind up to say that you're going to do it anyway. The mindset changes. You create growth that'll happen down the track. So you just force yourself through it.
I wonder if some of the essential oils in the MetaPWR blend too might be helping with that, because I've heard a lot about how it's helpful for mental health as well. So clearing out those thoughts, giving you the motivation, the energy, say from the peppermint. Would you think it's also playing a part?
Yeah. Well, I started my physical transformation a little bit before I jumped on the LLV and the MetaPWR came out with the convention. And it was I really struggled. When I say I went to war before the MetaPWR stuff, it was a battle. And I probably wasn't doing the 6Ks. It was probably more like 3 and a walk. And it was really hard to do, just to drag myself out of bed and do and get that. And then I started with the LLV. The MetaPWR came out not long after that, so I can put those two together. Also with the assist in the afternoons, and then I just started leaping some bounds at that 3K walk in the morning, turned to a 6K run pretty quickly.
So that's quite a
Um,
remarkable difference to notice. Were there other changes that you noticed?
yeah, just in a good mood for a longer period of time. I was happy when a lot of other people were like, I don't know why, but I was in a really good mood, and it wasn't a great energy boost. Like when you have a VCAN, you have a spike in energy and you're sort of jittery a little bit, but then you crash and you're in a grumpy mood. A couple of hours later, I was in a really good mood, but it wasn't over the top, and it lasted forever, nearly until I had the next MetaPWR and the next day, and I was doing more. Like you get those bad chores that no one wants to do, never wants to do it, but you're doing chores like that with a smile on your face, and you're sort of like cheering, oh, this is not so bad, and you're just getting them done.
This is sounding good, isn't it? Especially ladies, do you want your men to be doing those chores and to be in a good mood for longer? Oh,
Yeah.
I tell you. Because there's a great question here from Debbie asking, and actually, David, it is good to hear from a male perspective because we often hear from ladies and we talk about how the MetaPWR collagen is often really advantageous at night time for women of a certain age to bring about hormonal balance and to help with sleep. Debbie's question is for males, and we'll talk about maybe the different age ranges. Is it better to have it in the morning or at night? What would your knowledge base, would you say about this?
I haven't tried the it in the afternoon. I like it in the morning because I haven't eaten for a long time, and the body likes to absorb it quicker. I try and skip a dinner meal, twice or three times a week. So that would coincide with a 16 to 18 hour fast. So the body's looking for, well, the nutrients you take after a fast to break a fast, it's those nutrients are amplified. So if you're going to break a fast, you want to break your fast with a nice, good, clean source of protein, which is all the literature sort of says. And then MetaPWR is like perfect for that because your body's screaming out for some nutrients. And as soon as you put it in there, they'll just grab it all out and jam it in the cells. And MetaPWR is the perfect product to be throwing into your cells to break that fast.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the lifestyle. Like you're saying, you're doing the intermittent fasting and you've got your strict fitness regime. Serena's saying here she's got a friend who takes the MetaPWR sachet with the oil every night before he goes to bed. And so he's noticing a change with his emotions and feelings. He might have a different lifestyle. So I guess it's like you say, it's about trying it and seeing what fits in for you and what may
I
ultimately.
I have the oil like throughout the day, and the chewing gum too. I love the chewing gum. So yeah, I have the chewing gum and the oil and glasses of water. And the beadlets are really good if I'm out working or whatever. And then I normally have the assist in the afternoon. So when I have a meal, it's normally nighttime meals, normally loaded with some carbs. So I normally have the assist then to curb the insulin spike with my carbs. That's the way I do it. There is so many different combinations you can do.
It's just about finding what fits in with your day, I guess. Lisa's saying here, wow, David, your story is inspirational. Thank you for sharing. And it brought me to wonder, have you had any time since starting on MetaPWR where you haven't taken it? And if so, had you noticed any differences?
Well, there's been the odd night something happened and mate come around or whatever it was, and then I have a few too many beers, which would be nowhere near as many as what I used to swallow down of an afternoon, and then just completely forget about MetaPWR, and then just feel real lousy the next day. It's like your battery's on empty and the phone's got the 1% battery flashing. Yeah, and just take an extra 2 days to get back to where you were. And that's another reason why it's easy to stay on that path, because you fall off it and you realize that back where you were is or living with a battery on 1% all the time, been on MetaPWR for this period of time, and then now you realize how it's like to live with a full battery and a full charge ready to go. As soon as you drop down again, it goes, oh, this is no good. You can't live like this. And that's why it's been so easy to stay on the path and then crack it in the morning. And that's probably another reason that I do take it of the morning is that morning ritual is set in. It's set there to get myself set up for the day, and then it doesn't matter if the day gets a bit higgledy-piggledy after that. I'm set up and I'm ready to go.
Love how you describe that feeling. It's like being a full charge. Do you then find yourself telling other people about MetaPWR and, just wanting to tell the world about it?
Yeah. And I also like to get people to use MetaPWR, but also, get that habit changing as well. Because if you get the two together, it's like magic. If you can get the two side by side, if you keep your diet the same and your habits the same and just take MetaPWR, it's going to make you feel heaps better. But if you can change your habits a little bit and take MetaPWR, it's like putting an extra turbo on your car. You got a supercar, and instead of just a off the shelf Commodore type thing, it's let's go.
Brilliant. I love it. I love the references because I think so often us ladies don't talk in car language. So thank you, David, for bringing that spin on it. Did you find it easy to incorporate it into a habit?
Yeah, because I sort of had my morning habit was starting to cement my morning habit in. I just added that on to that fast. Right at the beginning, I was doing intermittent fasting, but I was skipping breakfast. So I was using MetaPWR at midday when I broke my fast, and I found it was okay, but it wasn't. The habit wasn't setting in. So now that I skip dinner, my stomach's a lot better with skipping dinner and having a bigger breakfast. So that's why I have my fast there and then have the MetaPWR. And then about 20 minutes later, that's when I have my breakfast. And that seemed to actually make me feel better, which helped with setting that in a habit just by lifting me up and making me feel better, ready to attack the day. So that's what cemented that habit in.
And you mentioned how it gave you this big burst of energy, and it's helped with your moods, and it's helped with your determination and your capabilities and your performance and things like that. How about sleep, your relationships, that side of life too? Has it had any impact in those areas for you?
I think sleep and recovery, it's helped. It's like a lot of people have a rest day after gym activities. I recently finished a challenge. They call it 75 hard, and MetaPWR helped me recover from doing that challenge, because you're doing in that challenge, you're doing 2 45-minute workouts a day, you're drinking lots of water, and you need to repeat that every day for 75 days. It's also really good for mindset. The MetaPWR helped with the recovery, the sleep. Even though I was taking it in the morning, the sleep and the recovery when I do lay down for sleep, that was happening a lot better. If I go and compare it with before I was doing say a 6K run, before I was taking MetaPWR, that I'd have my soleus and gastrocnemius muscles, which calf muscles, they would be sore the next day for 2 days, where it'd be difficult to walk. Started taking MetaPWR, then I was started doing the 6K run, and I could do another one the next day. So a big difference. Then I ended up carving my 10K time, took 10 minutes off my 10K time. So a big difference. So I was running, like the cardiovascular side of things, I was running further longer before the phosphate buffering happens in the muscles, and before I get out of breath. So yeah, just amazing.
Yeah, it's inspiring, David. It's so good to hear from you and all these improvements. And I just wanted to ask, if there was someone considering MetaPWR, what sort of advice would you give them if they were just on that edge of going, should I, will I? What would you say to them?
Oh, just do it, and do it all together too. The LLV product with MetaPWR together is so perfect for the human body that you really get some really good magic going when you combine all of them together. MetaPWR is great on its own, but when you add the LLV and all your cells talk to each other, it's not like your cells talking to each other. It's like they're actually singing to each other and dancing. That's what happens when you put the two of them together, and it's just amazing.
Thank you for pointing that out. I often forget that when I say MetaPWR, I'm with you. I agree. You need to have it partnered with the lifelong vitality vitamins and supplements. And I just give it this umbrella wording of MetaPWR. So thanks for picking up on that, because I think you're so right. We need the macro and the micronutrients. Yes, Kayleen saying it's a symphony orchestra. Beautiful.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's like MetaPWR is the king, but he needs to meet his queen, the lifelong vitality. So
Yeah.
I love how, you brought that up. We're also having a little bit of a chat in the comments about detoxification. Did you have any sort of symptoms of detox when you started on MetaPWR?
Well, I make myself before I go for running, because your body likes to detox itself through sweat, obviously. So that's why saunas and things like that and hot showers are becoming really, really good for the body. But I mix up some lemon juice or some essential oil, lemon or lime essential oil with NA and some apple cider vinegar just before my run. So then that helps with that detoxification pathways. So that's right at the start, after jumping off the alcohol, there was a period of up and down through, probably because of that detoxification. But then when I got to the clean side, so to speak, it was just continue to rev up and get better and better. I still take my apple cider vinegar elixir before I go running to open up those detoxification pathways, and then that opens the door for the MetaPWR after the run, post run.
So good. Thank you for sharing all your tips with us tonight, for sharing your story, for giving the ideas and inspiration. David, you're just so valuable with your knowledge and the way you put it into easy to understand language. Thanks again. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll just recommend that you click subscribe so you don't miss a segment. If anyone wants to watch the recording, they're uploaded to YouTube. You just type in Let's Chat MetaPWR and you'll find all the replays. David, I know you've got a couple of people who'll be wanting to watch this after tonight. So thank you very much. Thanks. Appreciate your time, everyone.
No
Thank you.
worries at all. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.